What's up, guys? Guy here. Pretty crazy what the 49ers are experiencing. I mean, I think everybody probably, on one hand, you're feeling two things, right? One is disbelief. The other is total belief. I knew the other shoe was going to drop, and the other shoe, and the other shoe, and the other shoe. Like, you just keep waiting for it to happen. And if somebody else gets seriously injured, you're going to say, yeah, I knew that one was coming too. And at the same time, you can't believe you're witnessing something that probably what I'm about to say isn't true, but feels like no fan base has ever felt before. So that's a pretty crazy combination. I think, this week is going to bring a lot of predictions that the 49ers are done. I don't think that's the case. I'll get to that in just a second, but I understand it. It might be right. I mean, how many superstar players can you lose and keep fighting on? I do think they can do it, and I'll explain why in a second, but I don't want to move ahead too quickly because it has to be acknowledged how crazy it is to lose Fred Warner to a serious, ugly injury. And what they've lost is Nick Bosa and Fred Warner were NFL Defensive Player of the Year award winners. Not they've won it before or they could have won it before, but at the time of both of their injuries, each one was playing like a guy who could win the award. I mean, Nick Bosa, I thought early looked like a guy who could be the Defensive Player of the Year in the league. And Fred Warner, since Nick Bosa was hurt and even before he got hurt, was playing like a guy who could be the Defensive Player of the Year. These aren't names they lost. These are names whose production was matching their reps or exceeding their reps. And I think losing Warner is even more devastating than losing Bosa. Not that we need to compare the two. It goes, the guy you lose second probably feels worse, but Fred they both do so much. He did so much. They're lucky to have Robert Saleh this year. But, I had to think in what is it, gallows humor, like making jokes on the before getting killed. I had to think about a book somebody gave me recently that's about real life, about much more serious things, written from the perspective of a person who experienced one of the most serious things. A guy named it's one of the most popular books in the world, I think. The author's Viktor Frankl, and he's a Holocaust survivor, and he writes basically that, there are different theories about what bring meaning to life, and one of the things that brings significant meaning to life is suffering, and because it's inevitable, you got to deal with it. And that's much more heavy than football, but also like I was talking to a buddy today who stopped watching the game after Fred Warner got hurt, which I understood. And I also watched the rest of the game just going like, these guys are out there fighting their asses off. And it's pretty incredible to see. You wonder how will these people respond in this moment? These players, these coaches, how will they respond in this moment? I thought it was very interesting. And he has not spoken yet, I don't think. But I thought it was very interesting. Did you see Fred Warner as he went off the field with Dr. Tim McAdams, who's been, he's a Stanford orthopedic surgeon and has been the Niners team doctor for 20 years, somewhere near 20 years. And when they had the shot of Fred Warner on the cart with his leg in an air cast, maybe he'll share it one day, but what he was saying, I don't know what, he had this look on his face. I don't know, was it, and I'll be back. I don't know what it was. But it was something special was happening with Fred Warner right there. Fred Warner was handling that situation differently than people handle it. And, the extent of the injury is obviously severe, but just looking at his mental state in that moment, and maybe it's the kind of thing that hits you more later. It feels like there's always, when you're doing something you love and it's taken away from your dark days, but you just watch him. God, this guy is going to have the right attitude and come back strong. He was smile. If you didn't see it, I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't a smile, but it was kind of a smile. He said something, and they were having this conversation that felt special. So in any event, I think it can't be overstated how significant it is to lose Fred Warner. So I'm not dismissing it. I'm not here to say oh, yeah, anyone who's saying it's terrible and it's awful and they can't survive is wrong. But I just keep saying, and I think it's really important to remember, the 49ers remaining schedule does not require them to be a team of Pro Bowlers. They still have some good players. It's an incredible test. They are being tested in a major way. And especially with a young team, there are potential benefits if you can find a way through. If you can find a way through. The only way out, the best way out is through. The best way out is through. And here's what they have coming up. Falcons are 2-2. Texans are 2-3. Giants are 2-4. So the next three opponents are 6-9. Okay. Then they play the Rams, who are 4-2. The Rams are one of three teams remaining on the 49ers schedule that have a winning record. The Rams and the Seahawks are among those three. So there's only one non-divisional game against a team with a winning record still on the 49ers schedule. And that team is the Indianapolis Colts at 5-1. Right now, the number one team in the AFC. That game is at the end of the year, and we'll see if they're still the number one team in the AFC by then. Maybe they will be, but we'll see. So after they play the Rams, a team they've already beaten, they play Arizona's 2-4. Then they play the Panthers, who are 3-3. They play the Browns, who are 1-5. They play the Titans, who are 1-5. So what is that? Their next 7 games before they play the Colts, those teams are a combined 17-21. They play the Colts at 5-1, then they play 2-2 Chicago, and then they finish with 4-2 Seattle at home. And of course, the Seattle game and the Cardinal game or the Seattle game and the Rams game are at home. So the three divisional games they have remaining, 2 of those teams are having good years. The Rams and the Seahawks, both of those games are at home for the 49ers. The team's having a bad year, Arizona. So that game's on the road. So, there's 2 different conversations, right? About 1, can you survive this? And 2, are you a Super Bowl contender? The answer to the first one is yes, I actually do think you can survive it. Now, what does that look like? And is that satisfactory? Does that look like winning a Super Bowl? No, not at this moment. It doesn't. Does it look like building a foundation for what comes next? Yes. Like, I still think, and I know you go, well, these moments are fleeting. Who cares about being a one and done playoff team? If that's what were to happen, you're better off getting a good draft pick. You're better off. But we only have so many years in our lives and we don't know how many years there are. And I'm not into just like throwing football seasons away because you might draft a guy 12th next year that you like. Now, the reverse of that is, do you trade picks for players if they're not really going to put you over the top, like the top, like put you in the NFC Championship game? The answer to that is also no. Losing Fred Warner, does that make it more or less likely you make a big trade? It makes it less likely you make a big trade. Now, you could still make a trade. Maybe there are some good trades to make. We'll see what Trey Hendrickson's injury status is. He was hurt in the Bengals game today. So there are trades out there to be. There will be trades out there to be made. Maybe they'll make one. But I do think in a year where you have so much youth, I hate to go silver lining here. I don't want to do that. But there is a value in finding a way to win games, maybe still win your division, or get in as a wild card team and play in the playoffs. It does matter if some of your young guys get that experience. And I think it's like everything is something. You're going to go through this season, and it's either going to be a foundational year for next year or it won't. So I'd rather it be a foundational year for you. And for it to be a foundational year, you got to fight through adversity. You got to grow as a team. You got to grow as players. You got to come back in 2026. You got to trust each other more. That's why I don't write off what value is left in the 2025 season. And, as I've been saying, when they won that game when they beat the Rams, these games, the games that they do win, it's a math problem. And right now they still got good math. And you look at their schedule and it can still work for them. So they're not in good shape from the one perspective, but I don't think it's going to be, I think they've got a chance to make it better than maybe, I'm just guessing what kind of the popular opinion will be this week. And and by the way, an understandable opinion, I get it. It's, they're losing just an incredible amount of valuable players. So I understand it, but you got Atlanta coming in on Sunday Night Football. Well, I don't know. Can you beat the Falcons? Can you beat the Falcons, who are 2-2, on Sunday Night Football at home? They're coming off a bye. I think the answer to that question is yes. I do think you can beat the Falcons. So, if you, or they're not coming off a bye. What's their deal? Hold on a second. They play, what's today? Oh, they play Monday night. They're not coming off a bye. Oh, even better. What am I thinking? Monday Night Football at home against the Bills. So they're going to have a short week. Buffalo, physical game. Maybe they'll be 2-3. I mean, can you win that game? If the answer is yes, then you're 5-1. Can you say your season's ending? It's all falling apart if you're 5-1? I don't think so. So big, just as the Jacksonville game was big and they lost it, then they beat the Rams. You lose to Tampa, okay, understandable. I think so many times you lose in the NFL and it feels the way that the Jags game felt for them, or it felt the way the Rams game felt for them, where you could, a few things go your way, you could have had it. That's professional football. These are 7-point games. This one obviously wasn't. But I thought watching that Tampa game, like I came out of it going, that's painful, and the Warner injury is devastating, and it just, you feel, it's how do you respond in that moment and all that stuff. And I came out of the game with a pretty healthy respect for this group of players, for this team, and feeling like if that's the way they responded in the moment to losing Fred Warner, then I think they've got a good chance to respond in the season. I mean, and this is not to even talk about anything statistically. And, you lose one significant. So maybe your defense gets a little worse. Does your offense get a little better if George Kittle comes back? Does your run game get better? I mean, Christian McCaffrey continues, to find the hardest 100 yards, it feels like, that anybody's ever found. I mean, it's just crazy. So, there is a balance here, and it feels like everything is piling up on one side of it, but it isn't. You do need your really good players to come back and contribute, whatever that looks like. Here's Juwan Jennings playing through broken ribs. Here's Kendrick Bourne having another huge game. Mac Jones throwing it 39 times, and he threw 2 interceptions. The second one, whatever. I mean, it happened. It's whatever. It's 4th and 6. They honestly, Tampa would have been better off not picking it off, but it came after the penalty on Dominic Pooney. But I think it as painful as it was, it does fall in line with what the expectation for this group is, which these things are going to be small margin games. And I think they're still going to be small margin games. I don't think that they're going to suddenly start getting blown out. They were in that game until the end, and they're playing one of the best teams in the NFL right now in Tampa with the guy, Tony Romo kept saying it, Baker Mayfield, leading candidate for MVP. So if that's what it is on the road when you lose Fred Warner in the middle of a game, what is it when you've got a week to prepare and maybe you're getting a little more back on offense? And I don't, I think if you've been watching this, like I'm not coming here to glass half full guy. Nobody feels like that after losing Fred Warner. But I thought even in a loss, they showed something. And I think most losses in the NFL just feel awful. That one felt awful because Fred got hurt. To me, it didn't feel awful because they lost. I thought they showed something gutty as a team. And I think Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan have had really good years, each of them. Like really good years. Yeah, I come out of that game going, they give you a chance. Those coaches give you a chance. That kicker gives you a chance. Kendrick Bourne's giving you a chance. They are definitely not going to be the team that, we've seen these Shanahan team, these Niner teams before just be, a wave after wave after wave of domination. We knew that's not what this group was going to be. So if you're going to play the type of games they're going to play, do you have the internal fortitude to see Fred Warner get hurt? And not just get hurt, but the injury itself was gruesome. And they did. So I was impressed with them today. I think you see it as a microcosm of them. I said early in the year, if you're going to be gritty, you got to be buttoned down. Like you can't make mistakes. And they're not exactly like couple of drops today in big spots, but I thought right before halftime, the DeMarcus Robinson catch and run that came right after a drop, it's a little symbolic. It's symbolic. The individual games, the season, there are things that happen that are tough, and you just don't have the option to do anything but try it again. Like Demarcus Robinson dropped it. Well, nothing we can do. He's one of the best receivers on the team. We don't have many options. Better throw it to him again. And they did. So, by the way, I was not, I mean, you may have known this, you listened to the game. I was not in Tampa today. Justin Allegri called the game, who's an awesome guy. And he's the Cal broadcaster, Cal Bears, and he'll be doing several of them coming up. I will be doing the Atlanta game on radio on Sunday night. I'm very excited about that. And so that's coming up Sunday night. So I'll be back for that. Schedule this week. College football game, I'm calling Oregon and Rutgers in Jersey on Saturday. And then I'll be at Levi Stadium on Sunday night. So that's the schedule for the week. But all right, that's a quick reaction. This is not the type of game for me, I don't think, where you kind of go through it kind of play by play. I just thought about like what can I say today that might feel a little different than the general tone, which again, sometimes I'm like, oh, the people are saying if you're listening to 5 shows and they're all like, oh, this sucks, that's legit. That's not a wrong take. That's a right take. But normally we get on a Sunday and like break the game down and go through things. And, I saw a team with still quite a bit of fight in them. And, I think sometimes it's a test to be able to respond within the game. It's also a test to go through the week and then go, all right, do we still have it? So this will be a big one against Atlanta to see if they still got it. But I just don't see if they can beat the Falcons, how you write off a 5-1 team, And it's not 5-1 and the schedule's about to turn. No, it's 5-1 and we went through it and the schedule is not about to turn. Then they go on the road. They go to Houston. They go to the Giants. Okay. That's fine. I think they can handle that. So, all right. There is Sunday's immediate reaction to the 49ers. Did I even mention what happened? Yeah, you already know. 49ers lost to the Bucs on Sunday. Bucs are now 5-1, first place. In the NFC, Detroit is 4-1. What's as I'm recording this, what do we got coming up tonight? I've been at Sunday Night Football. As you're hearing this, it's already over. Oh, Chiefs and Lions has started. So there you go. Tells you how I'm as many of us are reeling. But we'll get after it.